Let's go! Are you kidding me? Jarrick Benard-Converse commits to LSU. He very well could be the biggest commitment, period, especially when it comes to contributing next season, as Brian Kelly addresses a huge position of need. And of course, the transfer portal has been very good for LSU. So we're going to give you a few outside the box thoughts on this. And believe it or not, there could have been an addition to LSU today that not a whole lot of people are talking about, but could be just as big as Benard-Converse. We'll get to that at the end of the video. But for right now, I want you to comment down below. Is Jarrick Benard-Converse LSU's biggest commitment via the transfer portal thus far? I believe that he is, because LSU's defensive backfield is not looking too great, especially a few weeks ago when Dwight McGlothern decided to pack his bags. I'm not going to lie, personally, I started to panic a little bit after that because LSU's defensive backfield was looking very thin, even with McGlothern. But since then, LSU has picked up 4 really experienced defensive backs, including Joe Big Play Fuchsia, Greg Brooks, both of them from Arkansas, and then, of course, Mekhi Williams-Gardner, that was huge, from UL, and now Jarrick Benard-Converse. And what all 4 of these players have in common is that they are all from the state of Louisiana. Now, what does that tell you? Well, a lot, because these 4 could have easily played out their final year or so at their current schools, but even with new defensive back coaches coming into the fold, a new defensive coordinator, Corey Raymond packing his bags and going to Florida, they still wanted to come back to play for the home state school. So really, the people that you should give credit to for making this, outside of course, Brian Kelly and the current staff, are the great defensive backs before this era. So the Patrick Petersons, the Tyrann Matthews, these are guys that these players look up to. They looked at their videos on YouTube. You could speak to a lot of defensive back recruits around this era, and they say how big of an influence those guys had on them. So once again, we're still learning a lot about those 4 defensive backs, but that is by far the position on the defensive side that they really needed to hit in the portal, and LSU has knocked it out of the park. Now, Jarrick Benard-Converse, you're looking at some of his stats right now via Cody Worsham. It's just nothing short of incredible what he accomplished. All Big 12. Now, why did he decide to transfer? I think it has a lot to do with the defensive coordinator of Oklahoma State going to Ohio State. So from OSU to OSU, Jim Knowles. And after that, Benard-Converse was like, look, I don't have a huge draft profile. Let me go to a bigger stage, LSU, play for the home state school, and ball out of control. And that is exactly what he's going to do. Now, I know a lot of you North Louisiana viewers of the channel are really proud of this. You love seeing North Louisiana Tigers. And he is from Evangel Christian, where fellow 3-star recruits have fallen under the radar. Obviously, Jacob Hester being the most famous of which. And, of course, Ardarius Washington, who was committed to LSU. He ended up going to TCU and had a phenomenal career there. So let's not get it twisted. This is just absolutely ginormous for LSU. And I actually do believe him and Miles Frazier are the 2 transfers that really address positions of need. And obviously Miles Frazier was a phenomenal freshman for Florida International, and Jarrick Benard-Converse obviously out of the Big 12. There's something else that is very interesting about this. This signing, and I'm guessing it's a signing, I'm guessing it's official, LSU tweeted about it, puts LSU at 25 total recruits for the class of 2022. And this is where you really need to be lucky as an LSU. Let's be honest, LSU caught a huge, and I mean ginormous break with the new transfer portal rule being set for this year, which was if you have 7 players transfer out, you can replace those 7 players with 7 transfers on top of 25 total signees of high school players and transfers. So LSU is right now in a really good spot. They have 12 transfers and 13 signees. And what makes that really good for LSU is that as we move closer to February 2nd, which is a week away from now, and by the way, you can see our recruiting breakdown of the recruits to keep an eye out for. So look, that means 7 slots are still available. I think 4 or 5 high school prospects will take up of 4 or 5 of those 7 slots, and there's still room for 2 more transfers. So that puts LSU in a really, really good position as we move forward to February 2nd. So you should be thrilled with what Brian Kelly has done up to this point. Now, let's be honest. A lot of it is the brand, LSU. It still matters. There is a reason why Louisiana defensive backs, even when they are looked over by LSU, still wants to come home and play for the home state school. They know how important it is, not only for their personal brand, they not only know about the DBU brand, but on top of it, these guys grew up idolizing LSU. Their friends, their families. It does a lot for them as well personally. So, Brian Kelly deserves a lot of credit. Kerry Cooks and, Frank Wilson, all the new coaches, they really do deserve a lot of credit for what they've been able to do in the portal, but don't short sell the LSU brand. It shows you how much it matters to be a Tiger to a lot of these players. And hopefully this is a thing that continues, right? Even if LSU looks over a 3-star defensive back or just any position and they go ball out somewhere else, what's very fascinating is now at the transfer portal, they can always come back home and play for the home state school. So hopefully this isn't just a one-year thing. If LSU goes out and wins and has a really solid season and Brian Kelly's a fun coach to play for, this could be a trend that continues, and that would bode really well for LSU. Boom! I'm looking at you. Yes, you. If you're new to the channel and you haven't subscribed and rang the bell, what are you doing with your life? Like, for real. You want to join this growing community of LSU fans. Of course, our live streams are always fun. Now, as we always do at the end of our videos, we give you a few extra nuggets outside of the main topic, which was Jarrick Benard-Converse. The first is a 3-star and really a 0-star composite recruit. Jalen Davis Robinson gets a defensive back offer for the class of 2022. So if he accepts it, then that leaves LSU with 6 slots remaining. And then Caleb Douglas, a 3-star receiver that Cortez Hankton just offered here at the end, that Sam Spiegelman predicts that he actually is going to pick LSU. Then that would leave LSU with only 5 slots remaining. And let's just say Harold Perkins, Jacoby Matthews, Trevante Citizen, and Danny Lewis all sign with LSU. Then that would mean LSU only has 1 slot remaining for transfers. Now, they have gotten so many transfers up to this point, but I know earlier in the video we said that LSU has some wiggle room. Well, if those 6 guys all sign, you really only have 1 more slot. So we'll see. I don't know if all 6 of them are going to sign. So in just a second, it'll be floating in your face, our recruiting video from earlier this week, the 5 big names you need to keep an eye out for the 2022 February 2nd signing period, which is a week away. Now, John Jancek joins LSU staff, and you're looking at a photo of him right now. And now you're looking at his resume. And as you can see, this man has made a ton of stops. We always like to show you the resumes of these coaches just to show you how hellacious this job can be. And Jancek has been a defensive coordinator multiple times, and I think this is a huge missing piece addition to this LSU staff. And I know we get excited about any analyst that joins the staff, but I really do feel this one is a little bit different for a couple of reasons. The first is that Jancek has worked both with Brian Kelly at Grand Valley State and Matt House at Kentucky in 2017. So that gives this coaching staff a little bit more familiarity. The second big thing is that he's fresh off of winning a national championship with Georgia as an analyst. So you bring in someone who, we want to run the Georgia defense. We want to run something similar to what Kirby Smart does, and especially in the front of the defense, Matt House and Kirby Smart, well, at least Matt House in 2018 and Kirby Smart now, they ran very similar defenses, in particular in the front seven. So I think that's going to be key because obviously Matt House coming from the NFL to the college game, having someone that knows modern defense at the college level is going to be a huge boost, in particular as an analyst where his main focus will be the X's and O's. So that is absolutely huge. So you get national championship experience, you get coaching familiarity, we get a guy that is well respected in the coaching community. Football Scoop reported this, and it seems as if this looks to be a home run analyst hire. I know that's said about every analyst, but I think this one is going to be massive for LSU. Now, as we always do, the comment section is always so much fun. Comment down below your thoughts on Jarrick Benard-Converse and basically everything that we talked about in today's video. Now, in just a second, it'll be floating in your face. You will get to see our top 5 recruits to keep an eye out for the early signing period. The late signing period, which is just in a couple of days, so that'll be floating in your face. And you can click on it if you want more PHL content. Don't forget, next week, so for the actual signing day, we're adding a Wednesday live stream to the schedule to recap all the action. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Oh, tacos night 2 tonight. Let's go.